into this mix. Mind playing tricks.
Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network. Today is Monday, September 24th, 2018, and I have a very quick update for you, something that you can sink your teeth into this morning. You hopefully have been visiting theconsciousresistance.com and our channels and social media networks to keep up with all of our content, which is really important info that I hope you are paying attention to. Most recently on our channel, we have a new video disproving QAnon evidence, and I'd invite you to take a look at that. And continuing this tradition of disproving, I hate to say debunking because it usually has such a negative connotation to people who are professional debunkers or skeptics, but I am going to do a bit of, I guess, poking holes in this morning, namely in Alex Jones and Mike Adams of National News, who also works pretty often with Infowars and with Alex Jones. Now, I will preface this by saying, if it must be said, that Alex Jones definitely played a role in my waking up about 2009, almost a decade ago, 2009, really, with Endgame and some of his other documentaries. But I've always known we've been on different sides of the political spectrum, and that was fine because at least he was spitting truth, and he was pointing out the fact that both political parties and both left and right, conservative and liberal, could be full of shit and could be authoritarians and tyrannical. And then along came Trump. And Jones and plenty of other people, including Mike Adams, fell for this whole psyop, either willingly, willfully, afraid now to admit they were wrong after seeing that Trump continues the same militarization, the surveillance, the banksters, support of Israel and Saudi Arabia, not questioning 9/11, not questioning the Fed, using immigration as a divisive issue like he really cares about it when really it's just another part of building a police state control grid, all these different things. So they're either afraid to admit they were wrong or maybe something worse. And my view of Jones is it's likely something worse. And in the past couple months, it's just increasingly getting more. I hesitate to call it dangerous because I know that's what the left wing and the corporate media use against Jones and as justification for why he should be taken down off the social media networks and probably eventually off the internet. In my view, Jones is more of he is a part of the psyop where he is leading this faux quote unquote revolution. They're going after him because he gets to be the loudest voice, right? But other people have already been facing censorship for plenty of time now, and when Jones gets taken down, I don't know that I'll completely believe it. I think this is all being used to ramp up and to excite Trump and Jones's base, since there's a lot of crossover there, and they're a part of the division. I said this back in 2016 when Trump first got elected, that Trump and fake news and this whole Russian thing was going to be used to create and sow seeds of division in the United States so that left and right could get more and more angry and aggressive and then eventually violent to push towards a civil war. And I guarantee you this is being, at least partially organized and pushed by elements of the CIA and the deep state, because this is what they have a history of doing. And people think that they only fund fake protests in other countries and that, they only fund division in other countries, or that all the people who are being funded have to be coming from George Soros. It's just this, Jones, you're a freaking joke, man. You used to wake people up, and now everything is the Democrats' fault. It's Obama's fault. It's Clinton's fault. It's George Soros' fault. You can't see the truth out of your own bubble that you've put yourself in, and it's very dangerous. I think it is dangerous. I don't think you should be taken down off the internet because I'm going to be here to continue to criticize and call it out, and I hope that some of you guys have still at least a piece of a brain after listening to Jones for so long, and that you will give this a shot. So let's take a look at this. Emergency report, Trump planning mass arrests, military tribunals for deep state traitors. That's one of the headlines, right? Let's go to this next one. Alex Jones says, I don't want Trump to declare martial law, but we are already under it. And then world exclusive, Obama declared martial law, continuity of government provisions before leaving office, civil emergency still in place. And so what we're getting here now is that Mike Adams of National News, who I've been on his show before, I've been on Jones's show as well, and they are now saying that what is really going on is that 3 different executive orders have been signed. One was signed by Trump last year, almost a year ago in December. One was signed by Obama before he left office. And of course, this is true. This is a fact. The United States has been operating under a state of declared war since 2001 after 9/11. It was what they considered emergency declaration, a sort of temporary declaration of emergency provision. So I've said for years that we have been sort of under a quiet martial law for since then, pretty much. And every president has continued to issue this executive emergency order, right? So they take that factual piece of information and then they claim that this executive order that Trump issued back in December 20th, 2017, that executive order is related to Trump preparing to make mass arrests. And in order to do so, he is going to have to declare a temporary martial law. They hesitate to call it martial law, but that's what it is. It's putting the military in control so that he can, do mass arrests of deep state traitors and try them in treason under military tribunals. And I wrote about this recently, and I think I talked about it in the video too. These people who are pushing for Q, this is just like the same Q thing. Even though InfoWars has disavowed the QAnon stuff, Q is also saying, and David Wilcock and others are saying, there's going to be mass arrests coming, and the military will be in control, and there'll be military tribunals of all the bad guys. I mean, it's like they don't see, like, let's imagine this scenario that they have the sources right, and this information is factual. And let's imagine that this is true, that Trump is going to declare a state of emergency, a temporary martial law, as they put it, in order to arrest the traitors, the deep state traitors. But according to whom? I mean, obviously, Trump is still playing the left-right division and only focusing on the left wing and Hillary Clinton and Obama and this sort of stuff. So what, they're going to arrest all the Democrats, and there definitely are Democrats who are part of the quote-unquote New World Order shadow government. But there are also plenty of Republicans and plenty of people who aren't even in government and outside of government. And, I know that the Q people think that this is what all the sealed indictments are about. They're getting ready to make the mass arrest. But I don't see it happening. And let's imagine that it did happen. This is a completely partisan division narrative that they're pushing here, saying that Trump is going to go after the bad guys. And, the right here, he says, Mike Adams says, the President Trump will need to declare temporary martial law in order to accomplish this. He will need our support during this time to maintain order and civility across the nation as the arrests and trials of deep state traitors are underway. We should expect mass violence and chaos from the left, which is following rules for radicals, a blueprint for communist revolt and violent overthrow attempts of government. Okay, well, some of that may be true, but the thing is, I'm going to be involved in resisting this. And I'm not a freaking leftist or a Democrat, but if Trump were to declare martial law, you better believe a lot of us who are awake in the truth movement, who don't follow for this Trump bullshit, would be resisting it. So are you going to have us arrested as counter-revolutionaries? Are you going to have us tried by a military tribunal? I mean, again, even if this is a possibility of being real, the fact that Jones and Mike Adams and other people are pushing this out there and trying to get their base to endorse this, and they're all basing this off of executive order from December 20th, 2017, where Trump talks about blocking the property and arresting people who may have been involved in human rights abuses or corruption. It's a very vague executive order, just like all of them are. And I guess theoretically, yeah, that could be issued at some point to arrest people who have been involved in corruption, human rights abuses. Like, how about Trump himself? Or how about his friend Netanyahu or the Saudi kingdom? Yeah, I mean, do you really think this is going to be used to go after actual criminals? Maybe some of the low-level criminals or one faction. What we may be witnessing, let's say that this is real and that this happens. What we would be witnessing, in my belief, is one faction of the world order, of the deep state, fighting against another, and then using the arrests and their power to tell the American people that, we got rid of everybody bad, right? But again, do you think that the left wing is just going to take this laying down? So many people are against Trump for some BS reasons and for some legitimate reasons. And people like myself aren't just going to sit there and let you guys take over the country in the name of fighting the deep state. And which I think is a delusion. First of all, this is just another element of the psyop. You guys are falling for the layers of deception. And, so Adams goes on to say that Obama issued this executive order in 2012, which was his supposed declaration of martial law. So they're saying, well, there have been various executive orders issued over the years of something similar to martial law and emergency declarations. And then Obama did something like that in 2012. which says communications that support continuity of government, federal, state, local, territorial, and tribal emergency preparedness and response communications. It mentions all these communication systems, and it says that the president has control of this. Obviously, Obama didn't use this because he's out of office, but maybe he did issue this so that the next person coming into power, like Trump, could use it, because they're all a part of the same team, and you guys need to see that, right? And he goes through here, shows another executive order, March 2018, amendments to the manual for court martials, and basically says that this changes up the rules that will allow military police and other people to, like the military trial, military tribunals, to arrest and try these deep state traitors. And yeah, Mike Adams goes on and on. For the record, I wholly support this effort to arrest and prosecute thousands of deep state traitors. And he says, did you know that James Comey is a communist? John Brennan too. It's like they're just using this like, oh, they're communists. And the other side says they're Nazis, they're fascists. This is just the same old playing you against the other side thing. And Jones and Mike Adams, I'm sorry guys, but you're guilty of this. As far as I'm concerned, you are a part of the deep state. You are a part of the problem. And when there is chaos in the streets, because let's say that this happens, or some other time that Trump tries to seize power in the name of fighting the good guys or fighting the bad guys for the good guys, there will be a civil war. People will go toward being violent. You know, Jones loves to cover all the violence from the left, but what do you think something like this is going to do but provoke violence from the left and from other people who are just against this? And it says, in order for Trump to halt a global dictatorship and defend America against traitors, he must carry out the following actions: achieve the release of the declassified, unredacted deep state documents from the FBI and DOJ, invoke national emergency powers, invoke President Obama's executive order. So like, it's like on one hand, they're saying, well, Obama issued this executive order and we've already been under martial law according to, this is what they're saying over here. But then they're saying Trump should use that power. So and seize control of Google, Facebook, CNN, Washington Post, and New York Times. They're literally calling for the president to seize power of the media and social media companies. I mean, and they're all controlled media. They're all full of lies, but that's not going to fix things. Use all controlled communications channels to publicly declare the details of the crime. So text everybody, the American people directly, and tell us what's going on. Order military police to find and arrest thousands of deep state traitors who've been deliberately undermining America from within. Who is going to determine whether or not these are legitimate arrests? And if you've ever heard of a military tribunal, military law, there's not much that's going to get out to the public. It would be very, very secretive and behind closed doors. And this is what I said in my other video about QAnon. And issue an executive order demanding national voter ID. Like, holy crap. Listen, these guys have been fighting the real ID for I don't know how long, and now they're saying Trump needs to issue an executive order for a national ID card for voting. Suspend elections during the military tribunals. Lay out a timeline for the restoration of elections and nationwide voting with voter ID in place. I mean, this is insane. Deploy the military along the U.S. border. Like, they are literally talking about turning America into a police state to save the country. This is insane. I can't believe this is what's going on. You know, if you keep up with my work and you see me talking about feeling depressed or hopeless, this is why. Because these people have millions of people listening. And this is all a psyop. If the freaking media wanted to get rid of Jones, they would stop talking about him. They would not continue to parade him around all their cameras and report on every freaking thing he does and play him up. They've helped boost the InfoWars audience because of this. And it's all a part of it. It's all a part of the whole psyop, people. The American people will not tolerate a permanent military dictatorship in America, but they will tolerate temporary martial law needed to drain the swamp, arrest the traitors, and restore the rule of law. Like, what the fuck? Are you guys hearing this?
I think it will open up your understanding of what's about to happen, and also why you should support this lockdown of the country, which some might call martial law. And we need to support the president in this temporary lockdown of the country so that he can clean out the deep state, issue mass arrests for literally thousands of people, and restore the constitutional republic and restore restore this country to the American people. And so in this analysis, I'm going to just lay out how this can work. Very quickly, though.
Let's just pause there for a second. Did you just hear that? I mean, we need to welcome this temporary lockdown.
You know,
All right, I think you guys get the point here. I just want to go to one more video to show you this. Alex Jones. I don't want Trump to declare martial law, but we're already there. And this is, I think, just a good example of how Jones operates. Of course, obviously, this guy has documentaries out from back in the day, you know, the American Police State 1 through 4, waking people up to this stuff. And then here he is welcoming the police state with his red alert warning.
He's declared emergencies with hurricanes and things like that. The only way you can get rid of the civil emergency, the national emergency, the martial law that Obama put in place with executive orders before he left office is to declare his own emergency to end that. Just like the president's been made dictatorial over trade deals by the globalists before Trump got in, they got mad when he killed the TPP. They called it dictatorial. Well, why had the president been given those powers? He wasn't being a dictator. He used the executive power to get out of that dictatorial world government system. And so when Mike Adams talks about the president declaring martial law and going in and taking over the media, it's become state-run by Democrats and Obama, he's simply pointing out we already have state-run media by the deep state, and we're already under a form of martial law. And yes, it sounds very extreme. At a gut level, I don't like it. But at the same time, we're already under martial law.
So that's about all I need to say on this. I mean, just look at these videos. It's clear, InfoWars, Mike Adams, these guys are traitors. They are either dangerously pushing people towards supporting a military dictatorship in the name of fighting the deep state, or bought out, sold out, or they're a part of it. You know, I don't think they're just stupid. This is bigger than that. So keep your thinking caps on, keep thinking critically, question everything. Keep questioning everything and spread this report, please, because you know, we don't have nearly as big of a reach as these guys, but we can spread information to get people who are part of their following to question the shit they're hearing from them, because this is dangerous. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow, like, subscribe, bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.